Star Wars! Star Wars! Star Wars! Star Wars! Star Wars! Star Wars! We're so excited we're not even gonna lie about going to see Cats. We're just so freaking excited!
Yes!
Star Wars!
Star Wars! 42 years, 9 movies, 5 directors, 1 man's ultimate vision that he did not
Get to finish them.
That he did not get to finish, but still, it doesn't matter. Star Wars.
Star Wars. So, 2 years ago, Rian Johnson created the most divisive of the Star Wars movies with The Last Jedi. We've got something we want to get off our chest over the last 2 years, and it's Phantom Menace. Please shut the fuck up.
Because here's the thing: The Last Jedi doesn't suck. You suck.
Last Jedi is a great movie. Probably one of the greatest. It's probably not better than Empire. Not even gonna give it that, but it does not deserve the hate that people pile onto it.
And for those of you who did not hate the movie because of the female or race, because of racial or feminine or feminist and stuff, and you actually legitimately have gripes with the film, well, the fact that you post hour-long rant videos and are actively picking fights with people does not help your cause. Because we're just gonna lump you in with the racist, homophobic, misogynist until you actually grow the fuck up.
It's like Movie Bob said during the Obama administration. If you see a bunch of if you have legitimate gripes against the Obama administration, and you want to stand outside the White House and protest, maybe make sure you're not doing it at the same time as the Ku Klux Klan. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we recognize that it's your opinion. If you dislike The Last Jedi just based on your own opinion, that's fine. You are allowed to have your own opinion. But when you try to force it on other people, that just won't stand.
We're gonna lump you in with all the idiots who bullied Kelly Marie Tran off of Twitter and off of social media, and who are threatening Ryan, who are more than no doubt threatening Rian Johnson's life every second he is on Twitter,
and probably praying for the day that Kathleen Kennedy eventually gets fired by Disney because of any perceived wrongdoing you have. Which, guys, if you're gonna bitch about Kathleen Kennedy doing anything, she made The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
So maybe give her some grief for that.
Yeah.
But not for the thing that she's been doing the most right in her career so far.
Yeah, because she has been with Star Wars since day freaking 1.
So let's not go into that. Let's go into the stuff for this movie now.
Yes.
So after The Last Jedi, the plan was that they were going to do what they did with the original trilogy, where they were going to have a good director handle the first one, a much more talented director handle the second one, and then another guy handle the third one. Now, they got that with J.J. Abrams, a good director handling The Force Awakens, Rian Johnson, a much more talented director handling The Last Jedi, and that did so well that, as far as we know, Disney still has him under contract to make his own trilogy of movies.
And then Colin Trevorrow was originally signed on to write and direct this film until until September of 2017, when he departed the project. He was fucking fired.
And as we stated back when we were reviewing Jurassic World, we can only assume it was because the scripts he was turning in were just not as good as they could have been. Or as they should be when you're making a Star Wars property.
So, less than a month later, J.J. Abrams was brought back on board to co-write and direct the final installment of the Skywalker saga with Chris Terrio, the Academy Award-winning writer of Argo.
And also the writer of Batman v Superman and Justice League.
We're not going to talk about that.
But obviously the reason they brought J.J. Abrams back out of all the directors they could have done is because they wanted someone they knew they had a good working relationship with. They wanted it to be a little easier. Colin Trevorrow had so many, they claimed, and had so many creative differences, so it was just kind of easy to be like, let's just slot this guy back in. He did a good job the first time, so let's see if he can stick the landing.
And now we have J.J. directing The Rise of Skywalker. We have a huge cast coming back.
We just the cast from the last 2 movies.
Daisy Ridley, Kelly Marie Tran, John Boyega, Oscar Isaacs, Adam Driver,
Mark Hamill,
and Again, still hurts to say this, the late great Carrie Fisher.
Well, the thing about Carrie Fisher is she passed away before they even finished a script, before they even had a first draft of the script done. So the way that they're doing this is actually rather interesting because they're using unused footage from The Force Awakens and other different kinds of other different places throughout the course of making these movies, and they're using them to put Leia in the movies without any questions.
We also have coming back in. We have Billy D. Williams,
one of the greatest. As he has been jumping around the interviews and talk show circuits and everything, he has just been showing himself to be one of the greatest, most awesome people of all time. Cool as hell, incredibly progressive when it comes to certain things.
And him and Anthony Daniels, it is actually pronounced Anthony. Just learned that.
But those two coming back, they're going to be them, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher. They're the legacies.
Yeah.
But 40 years, 42 years, all these people are together to say one last hurrah to this. The new cast is here to become to complete their character arcs before moving on. Oh, did you mention Adam Driver?
I did not mention Adam Driver.
Okay, just making sure.
And because we're going to find out what is up with Kylo Ren by the end of this movie, hopefully.
Oh, and also, a little someone is coming back. Ian McDiarmid, the original actor who played Darth Sidious in the original trilogy, and then reprised his role in the prequels.
Yeah, and Empire when they remastered it. But we did not. This was a shock to the system when the first trailer came out.
We did not, because like with every single Star Wars movie, plots are kept very secretive, or at least for the main series ones.
They did not even let the title go until the trailer came, so we only knew it was called Episode 9 until Rise of Skywalker.
So Star Wars has been ever since 2013 when they announced that this trilogy was going to happen. We did not know what was going to happen over the course of this because on one hand we had been burned before. A lot of fans had been burned before by Star Wars, and yes, while over the years the prequels have been given some reappraisal, all this time we've still had no way of knowing and now here we are all these years later, and we are now on Episode 9, the finale of the Skywalker saga, the end of an era. And maybe with more to come. Even though Star Wars seems to keep getting derailed here and there, but actually this year a lot of good that came from Star Wars. Last time a main series Star Wars movie came out, a lot of bad news was coming out about Star Wars. Directors leaving, even cast members dying, all that kind of stuff. This year there's quite a bit of good. Galaxy's Edge opened at Disneyland in California and Disney World and hurled to very well and were very well received critically. And
this new show Star Wars Resistance came out to some critical acclaim. We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it because honestly I think the animation style is kind of something that
it's just kind of throwing us off right now. But once the series wraps, we'll probably check it out.
And The Mandalorian is one of the best things that Star Wars has made since Disney bought them.
Yeah.
Bought Lucasfilm. And that's pretty awesome. No, Baby Yoda is probably not going to be in this. And even then, he will probably just be angsty teenage Yoda. Get out of my room, you must!
But we're ready to... This is the longest we have ever rambled.
But, yeah. Rise of Skywalker. Will it be good? I hope so.
I kind of got a bad feeling about this, and I'm just saying that because I'm only saying that for the title.
Hi. Being well aware we know how the critics feel about this.
Woo!
I am so satisfied.
I am so fucking jazzed right now. That was amazing!
So I think the big thing to be said is we're suckers for nostalgia, and this movie has it all in spades. There's fantastic action sequences, it's fantastic space battles. My God. was this basically a movie made for the fans, like the real fans.
And people can say all they want that JJ was disrespecting Ryan by retconning all the stuff he did in The Last Jedi, but I looked and I saw a man who loved what Ryan did with The Last Jedi, and he built on it, and he continued the story in a way that makes this a great way to say goodbye to all of this.
I will say this, in a lot of ways, the movie, it ended exactly how I thought it would at the end of Force Awakens, with how the way things were set up with The Force Awakens, so I'm going to assume that JJ kind of took a lot of the ideas that Rian Johnson started with The Last Jedi, and he kept it moving, but he also was like, I knew exactly how I wanted to end this, so I'm going to take this, and I'm still going to find a way to make this. By the way, I should probably not say this on a spoiler-free discussion, but
No. So let's get a little deeper into it. JJ is a freaking master filmmaker. This is such a fantastic thing to see.
Like I said, there are great action sequences, and one of the most epic, incredibly awesome, fan-servicey space battles of the entire franchise.
We have Mark Hamill killing it for however long he's in the movie, as well as such a surprise with how they were able to incorporate Carrie Fisher into this film. It felt like she actually was in the movie.
My big thing is that while they did do a good job of incorporating her, there were times where it was somewhat obvious that they were working off of limited footage.
Yeah, a little bit.
The fact that, so there were some times where it's like, okay, where it feels a little different, stilted compared to what other people are reacting to in the scene. I didn't hate it because in the end, how they did what they did with Leia was actually well executed to the point that I really did feel something. But like I said, maybe that's just because we're suckers for nostalgia.
Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley just freaking kill it like they have for this entire trilogy.
Adam Driver being basically the standout star of the entire movie. He is doing everything he can to make this character compelling, and it works.
Anthony Daniels, I mean, this is his best turn as C-3PO, no doubt.
Though I do want to say that I was starting to get that at a certain point I did during the beginning of the movie, I was kind of getting it was starting to get a little bit on my nerves just how much belly aching C-3PO was kind of doing. It kind of was like, okay, C-3P Eeyore.
And then we have Billy D. Gotta talk Billy D quick.
Billy D. Williams is awesome. Lando Calrissian is awesome. It's awesome to see Lando back in heck, and every time, just like in the trailers, every time we see him behind the stick on Hick of the Millennium Falcon, I giggle a little bit because it's like, that's where he belongs.
Yeah, Kelly Marie Tran she is used for what she is doing. She is fantastic. We are not just saying that, and I am not just saying that because she was attacked unjustly by idiots on the internet.
I mean, what else is there? What else is there? There's the new droid. Lloyd, you thought you were getting a new Star Wars droid, but it was me, Dio.
JJ, JoJo, makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
The only way it would not make sense. I mean, it has to make sense. Why else would a 53-year-old man still go by JJ?
Yeah.
John Boyega and Oscar Isaacs freaking kill it as Poe and Finn.
It's gonna be so. I'm kind of gonna miss the fact that these guys are just gonna be around. I mean,
I feel that's the thing now. As I'm processing this at the end of it all, I'm gonna miss this.
I think when it comes down to it, this movie continues to do what all the other Star Wars movies that have come out since The Force Awakens have done, and that's, I was in that theater and I felt like a kid again. Everything fell away. The whole world fell away.
We were 10 years old again, watching Star Wars for the first time and falling in love with this thing that George Lucas created to make into the phenomena that it is today.
in the end, I think J.J. Abrams created as satisfying of an ending as he could.
And just like George always said, it's like poetry. Everything rhymes and comes together and
Because
ebbs and flows.
because once it gets to the end of this movie, there's a scene where it feels exactly like when J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio were writing the scene. They were like, let's make it rhyme. Let's make it what we did with the Force Awakens. Let's match this up. Would the movie have been better if they had brought Lawrence Kasdan back? Maybe.
Would the movie have been better if JJ hadn't continued on? Who can tell? We know for a fact that 3 versions of this story existed. One that Rian Johnson completed along with his Last Jedi script. He completed a story treatment he had for it. Another with Carrie Fisher, and this one that they sadly had to make because we no longer have Carrie Fisher in the world.
And through it all, this is what we got. John Williams' score. What can be said? John Williams kills it every single time, even when he's doing a bad movie.
Ian McDiarmid is just...
He's doing it again. He's the emperor. He's hamming it up. He's having a good time. And sometimes, hey, maybe he's even just a little bit imposing because he has to be a little scary.
And of course, we got a bunch of cameos, including a scene near the end, which is just fan-freaking-tastic. We were looking at each other in the theater, just in awe of how amazing this came out.
And yeah, I think this is as good as we could possibly have gotten. I don't think there was no way to make a better movie to make it better than The Last Jedi. And there was no way to make it worse than the Attack of the Clones. I personally, even if you look at the flaws of this movie, like, it's maybe a little too long.
It's the first part of it does seem to run really goes fast into it, and Rey may seem a little OP at times.
But I think they were. But I think Jeremy Jahns was overreacting a little bit, saying it's his least favorite, especially when Attack of the Clones still exists.
When you look at all of the Star Wars movies as a whole, this is as satisfying of an ending that you could probably ever get.
I mean, it's Star Wars. Star Wars, when you look at all the movies all together, they average out to be pretty good.
And if you look at that's the reason why we keep coming back. It's because we love Star Wars. We will never stop loving Star Wars.
This world, these characters, the way that new and exciting people jump into this world and see a new version of themselves.
That you can look into this world and you can feel like you are in there, that you could fit in, that you could step into that world, and somewhere out there you could exist in the world of Star Wars. That family, to this day, 42 years later, children and adults and grandparents and parents and people of every generation can have these stories and have this franchise and have this thing that can bring them together. Like Carrie Fisher always said, it's about family. Star Wars, families come together and they Star Wars together. Star Wars is a verb.
And it's incredible. We're generations deep into this. So, I personally think that this movie exemplifies the way to end the way that they could end this. I know that a lot of the critics' reviews have gotten pretty negative. I know that it's certified rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. That it's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, but only by a little bit because those are based on how many critics reviewed it, not what the critics have to say about it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I sat in that theater and I loved every second of it. I felt compelled, and it's Star Wars.
Star Wars. will always be Star Wars, and that's something that the fandom menace and everybody out there who tries to bring it down can never take away.
And on that note, we end 2019 for this year.
Yeah.
There isn't going to be another StillerBros at the movies until 2020, mostly because we refuse to see Cats or Spies in Disguise or literally any of the other movies that they're basically shoving to the end of the year.
Yeah. But this feels like a good note to go out on.
So as always, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Leave in the comments what you thought of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. No spoilers, please, because want to be respectful of people. Like, don't just tweet it out like a dick.
Yeah.
And be sure to tune in next time when I don't even know.
I guess all we can say now is, may the Force be with you always.